Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Buff Breakdown. I'm very happy to say that because we got new buffs today as they added 3 new welfares that you see in this picture to the welfare shop today, and 2 of them got buffed. I feel like this is now a pattern that whenever they do a batch of these three servers, they always like buff 2 of them, and yes indeed they did again. So today, or starting from today, you can now purchase yourself a Santa Nightingale, Sakamoto Rider, and ChaCha Berserker obviously from the welfare shop. And of the 3 that got buffed, we got ChaCha and Sakamoto. So Nightingale does not get buffed, but to be honest, she's the most used of the 3 anyway, so I feel like the buffs make sense. Now the buffs, we got a skill buff for ChaCha and then an actual MP buff for Sakamoto. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Starting off with ChaCha's skill number 1. So her golden rule evil, rank B. On a 6-turn cooldown, what did it used to do? Well, on max rank, you get 10% MP per turn every turn for 3 turns for herself. You know, helps because Berserker gains, especially like hers, where they have a full red deck, tend to be pretty bad. And then, also, she gets up to 50% increased MP gain on damage taken. So again, this is not all MP gain like her using her own face cards. This is the MP gain you get when someone hits you. Now, even with this active, if it's like a one-hitter or something like a big buster hit, you still won't really see much of a difference. But once the enemy starts using stuff like multi-hits, hits, like, quick cards, etc., if they're servants, then you might see a big difference in how much MP you get. But you also gotta keep in mind, she's a Berserker, and a 4-star one at that. And she doesn't have any other defensive tools, so it's still easy for her to die. So this was never going to be a reliable way anyway. Like, if you combine this with a taunt or something, you would probably just end up killing her in 1 or 2 turns. So, bit awkward, needless to say. So you mainly just used it for the MP per turn. And then if you got bonus from the other effect, then yeah, cool, I guess. On a 6-turn cooldown, I would have considered this a pretty mediocre at best skill. Arguably just flat out bad. But now, what did they do? Well, the MP gain on damage taken effect remains the same, but they did change the first effect. So now, instead of up to 10% MP per turn, you get up to 20% MP per turn, which is literally doubled. Hey, awesome. And then they added 1 new effect, which is up to 30% buster up for herself for 3 turns. Very solid, actually. But yeah, like I said, the MP gain on damage taken remains the same, but that's fine. That was just a bonus weird effect anyway. Still remains the same 6-turn cooldown. So that's the change they did. Now, for instance, this matches like Pence. MP per turn, she also gets up to 20 per turn. So ChaCha is kind of like a AoE version of her, if anything, at this point. But will this really change much? Again, I assume is the question that most people are really thinking of. Now, this might open up some possibilities or some more possibilities for her to loop, but if I had to guess, the comps are still going to be ugly as hell because, again, this is all that she has. It's not even an instant battery, it's after her turn, so it definitely limits the options as well. So I still want to say I could be proven wrong here if people come up with some cool comps and whatnot, and if you already have ideas, do let me know in the comments. The way I see it is that I still think she's relegated to a DPS position rather than a loop farming position. But don't get me wrong, I like this buff. Now on a 6-turn cooldown, it's actually pretty solid, mostly for the 20% MP per turn and the 30% buster up 3 turns each. Very nice for them to finally buff ChaCha, because I believe this is actually her first buff ever. Very, very long overdue. I think most people consider her one of the weakest welfares in the game, and I don't really blame them. I still have a soft spot for her in my heart, because I used her all the way up until Bond 10, when my JP account was new, because I really didn't have any other, universal AoE DPSs. Now on my Berserker tier list this year, she was a pretty sad C rank, and with this, it's a bit tough, but I still feel like I might not put her into B yet. I think a C+ is fair, for sure, but is she all that much better with this? I still feel like most people will not use her. But hey, if your JP account is new, she's not a bad option from the welfare shop now, in case you're lacking on some, universal AoE DPSs. So you could consider her, but there's a lot of other good welfares already in the shop, so competition is real. But there you go. Happy to see ChaCha buffed regardless. Then let's talk about the Sakamoto Rider buff, the MP buff. Yes, indeed. Now, what did his MP used to be like? Well, it does damage, single target at that, arts. There's no damage mods or anything, so it's just base damage. But again, he's a free MP5, much like ChaCha, so you know, pretty cool. Whenever you have a free MP5, an MP buff is always going to be pretty good regardless. So other effects, what did we get? Well, there was only really one other effect, which is his overcharge. So on base overcharge, you had a 60% chance to drain charge from your target, which I did not like, because you guys know me, I hate RNG effects, especially something as big as a drain. Like, a drain can be absolutely a make or break for living or dying against a tough boss, so it being RNG means you can't rely on it, so it's only a bonus at best. Never really a big fan of it. So that was his MP, as basic as that. A 4-hitter, single target MP that had a chance to drain the target you're attacking. Pretty mediocre. Not very great. But now, first of all, again, we get the damage buff. So again, much like you have the free MP5, so hey, that's already great. But then they did not stop there, thank God. Now, the big change in my opinion, the drain is guaranteed. It cannot whiff. That's awesome. That's huge in my opinion. Some people might think it's not that big of a deal, but I think it really is a big deal. I love it. So the fact that the drain is now guaranteed, just big. But then, as it's now guaranteed and it no longer scales with overcharge, they gave him a brand new overcharge effect, which is a star bomb. Now on base OC, it's only 10 stars, yeah, and then all the way up to max OC, it's up to 30. So the scaling isn't the best. We've seen MPs with way bigger star bombs than this, so it's definitely in the low end. In fact, it's probably the lowest you can have it on MP for a star bomb, if I had to guess, at least of the overcharge ones. But hey, you know what? It's fine. Again, I think the big change really is the drain being guaranteed. I love it. It's so good. Having a guaranteed drain, which means it will be a reliable defensive utility tool in your arsenal. That's awesome. Delaying the enemy's MP can actually make a big difference. So now that it cannot whiff, awesome. And for those that don't know, MP drain is not considered a debuff. So even if a boss has debuff immunity, for instance, or like a really high debuff resistance buff, or just an innate high debuff resistance, this would still hit them. As long as they can be drained, if there's some weird mechanic preventing drain, then you can, but as long as their MP bar can be drained, this will drain it no matter what. Nothing else will prevent it, unless it's, again, some really specific gimmick that prevents drain, which I'm not even sure if they've ever d+done that, but I digress. Very good effect. Now, on my rider tier list, I had him on a flat B this year, and with this, I would say definitely an easy B+, maybe even an A, honestly. Honestly, I might be jumping the gun here, but I'm actually going to bump him into A. Again, free MP5 is great, so the damage buff is going to be even more significant, and now the awkwardness of the RNG is gone, so it hits hard, and it has great utility, and some bonus stars on top. And again, you know what? Stars are even good for him because he's a rider, highest base absorb in the game, so it helps with his own DPS and gains a little bit as well. Very cool. Now, his skill set, still not the best though, so I think A is as high as I can go, even with this MP buff. Even that might be a bit generous. I can understand some people might think that that's fair. But yeah, we will see if they ever buff any of his skills, because so far they are a bit, you know, basic and lacking, I feel like. They're not terrible, but could do more, needless to say. But now he has a great MP, and that's nice. So there you go. 2 buffs, 3 new welfares. Awesome. So the recap, ChaCha, I feel like she still won't really do too much farming, but with the skill buff, her DPS potential will definitely be better and easier to use that MP. And as for Sakamoto, his DPS potential is definitely better, and also his utility on the nice utility on the MP is now guaranteed, which I'm a big fan of, and the bonus stars will help with his gains and damage further as a rider class servant. So overall, I think both of the buffs are very well deserved, and I think they did a pretty good job with the effects as well. Again, will it change 2 of the servants in a dramatic way? I don't think so, but am I still happy with the buffs? Yes, I am. They're now on the shop, ready for pickup, Santa Nightingale being the 3rd one, in addition to the buffed units. So get them if you want them, and there you go. If you enjoyed this buff breakdown, do me a solid and press the thumbs up button on this video, it really helps out. And do subscribe not to miss out on future buff breakdowns and other fun videos coming your way. You guys know me, as soon as there's buffs, I'll be here day one. In fact, this is hour one, 20 minutes later, so I tried to get this up as fast as I could for you guys. So enjoy, yeah. Anyways, hope to see you in the next video. Take care, and a peace out.